This is the Hyundai Creta 2024. Nope, it's not a new generation. This is simply a facelift model, and that means that the reasons you'd consider or reject a Creta applies to this right from day one. But Hyundai's worked on the aesthetics of the Creta, given it a little more tech to bring it more up to speed with 2024. This is the deep dive of the new Hyundai Creta. I have to start things off with design because that's where a bulk of the changes are. You noticed on the bonnet, the lines are straighter, crisper, and it's got a lot more muscle. The front end, well, that's completely new. Now I know a few of you might be a little bummed that we didn't get the Tucson inspired face that Indonesia gets, but I think I prefer this. I see hints of the Hyundai Palisade in it, and the straight elements just make the Creta look so much more boxy and so much more rugged. Interestingly though, for Hyundai, absolutely no chrome. The grille, that's got dark chrome elements, and the skid plate, it's not bright silver, it's finished in gunmetal grey. Then there's so much going on with the lighting that I have to explain it to you in detail. So these portions, they are the DRLs, right? This is a dynamic turn indicator, and when you indicate, the DRLs dim. This portion here, that is the pilot lamp, and down here you've got the low beam and the high beam. Now if you notice, the Creta does not have fog lamps. I don't really think that's as much of an issue because the lamps themselves are placed quite low. And then there's how Hyundai's integrated the finer details into the design. The 360-degree camera, the front camera rather, is tucked away neatly there. The radar for the ADAS, again, nicely integrated there. And the tow hook integration is done brilliantly too. On the whole, nothing seems like an afterthought, something that was slapped onto the car after the design was signed off on, and that's always a good thing. Things at the rear are drastically different too, even if they're not as dramatic as the front end. The rear again is very upright, and Hyundai's got this connected lamp setup going on. We've seen it in the Venue, now it's in the Creta as well. These are your pilot lamps. If you indicate, sequential again, and if you brake, this glows a lot stronger. Surprisingly, the reverse lamp is tucked there. So yeah, in case someone rear ends you, be prepared to pay for a reverse lamp, I guess. But overall, from here as well, it's not as polarizing as the last Creta, that's for sure. At a casual glance, the side profile's pretty much the same as before, so you still get this silver insert above the doors. But what is new are the wheels. That design is new, and if you peek inside the wheels, you now get rear disc brakes. Earlier, they were limited to the turbo model. Now, it's a standard feature. Let's talk about the interior, and the big talking point, of course, is the new dashboard design. If you compare it to the pre-facelift Creta, I'm sorry, this looks way better in every single sense of the term. Hyundai has chosen to go with a horizontal design theme, and they've actually split the dashboard into two clean halves, the upper and the lower. In fact, the lower half of the dashboard, the glove box, this wireless charger area here, and this central console area here are pretty much identical to the pre-facelift model. So this is where all of the action is. What's interesting is the colors that Hyundai has chosen. There's grey here. This is an off-white of sorts, and there is copper detailing around the touchscreen, and it extends completely under the instrument cluster as well. In terms of detailing, Hyundai has chosen a lot of piano black surfaces. You'll see this around the AC vent, also this fake vent detailing here, and a lot of it on the center console. And I can't stress this enough, gloss black, piano black is a dust magnet. It is a fingerprint magnet, so keep a microfiber towel handy at all times. What they have done right though is in terms of material selection. Now with the older Creta, the material quality felt strictly okay. Here you will see a marked improvement, and I want to say it is almost the same level that you see in the Seltos. I want to give the Seltos an edge for now, but once we do a back-to-back, I'll get a clear picture. There's a rubberized texture on the top half of the dash. The lower half is still hard, scratchy plastic, but I'm not really going to fault them for it. And what makes this cabin feel a lot more premium are these dual display, especially the way it's nestled right into the dash. Now these displays nestled here seem great, especially when you're on a dark theme and on the home screen. But if I pull up something with high contrast like a map, that is when you realize this is the area where the touchscreen is. The rest of it is pure bezel. Now if they had that much real estate to play around with, I think Hyundai could have pushed the envelope a little further, made the segment chase a little, put in a larger 12.3-inch screen there, probably. Now this touchscreen is connected to an 8-speaker Bose sound system. If you are an audiophile, the audio output will seem good enough. This here is a 10.25-inch digital driver's display. We've seen it on a host of cars, including Hyundai cars like the Alcazar. Again, crisp display, gets a lot of neat graphics and themes, and obviously the feed for the 360-degree camera you can see right there. So this is new feature number 1. New feature number 2 is of course the 360-degree camera that works in conjunction with the third new feature, which is ADAS, and we'll get to that when we're driving. Other than that, you've got dual zone climate control now, so you can set individual temperatures for the driver side and the passenger side. But one small complaint, I don't really like the way all these switches are stacked, especially given it's got a very hard clicky feel and a piano black finish. Maybe Hyundai could have figured out a way to make this section a little less busy, but what I can't fault it for is ease of use. Everything is right under your fingertips whenever you need them. Other than that, the Creta is still as feature loaded as ever. So you've got a wireless charger, there are cooled seats, you get a chilled glove box, panoramic sunroof, really good quality of leatherette upholstery on the seats, on the armrest, and on the steering wheel as well. And if you ask me what could it do with, well, the Seltos has a heads-up display, this doesn't. It could do with a powered co-driver seat as well, but then again, we're just nitpicking. If you were looking for something that was feature loaded, the Creta still delivers. Okay, now let's talk about space, practicality and ergonomics. The driver's seat is powered 8-way. Getting into a comfortable position is quite easy. The steering has tilt and telescopic functionality. So yeah, overall getting comfortable here and spending a lot of time here on long drives shouldn't be an issue. Now, if you're like me who prefers a slightly low set position, the dash might feel slightly low, but you do get a full view of the bonnet that is sure to give you a lot of confidence if you are a new driver. The front seats, in terms of space, you'd have absolutely no complaints. I am a hatta-katta, nearly 6-foot guy. I've got ample width, and headroom, despite the sunroof, is pretty good too. If I talk about practicality, the door bins, they remain the same, so you can fit in a couple of bottles there. This section on the dash is new. You can keep your wallet or a phone here, and thoughtful touch, it's got a nice rubberized padding. Hyundai has also added a small magnetic portion to the dash, inspired from the Ioniq 5 obviously, but it won't really hold your phone on MagSafe, but maybe you can get a metallic object and use this to pin up small notes or maybe a parking ticket or something like that. Things at the back, not really different compared to the pre-facelift model, which is to say it is ample in terms of space. The front seat is set for my driving position. I'm roughly 6 feet tall. Knee room, no issue. Foot room, no issue. Headroom is ample as well. In terms of features, you've got rear AC vents, 2 Type-C chargers, and a place to store your phone. And you've got this handy central armrest with a couple of cup holders as well. Also, 3 things. The seat back is hard plastic, so if your kids kick it, you'll be able to clean it very easily. You've got curtains and you've got these super comfy neck cushions as well. There is no central headrest, however. Final piece of the practicality puzzle, the boot. As you can see, you can fit a medium-sized trolley bag and 2 cabin-sized trolley bags. But if you are going to be traveling full house, I'd recommend you use 4 of the smaller cabin trolleys because the boot does not have a lot of depth. So storing big luggage is going to eat up the space quite inefficiently. So for the added bit of practicality, you obviously have 60-40 split seats. So if you've got more luggage than passengers, you have the option of doing that as well. Alright, now let's turn our attention to the way the Creta drives. But first, you get the choice of 3 engine options. There's a 1.5 litre naturally aspirated petrol motor that you can have with a manual or a CVT. There is the new 1.5 litre turbo petrol that we've also seen in the Seltos that you can have only with a DCT, and there is the tried and tested 1.5 litre diesel that's available with both a manual and a proper 6-speed torque converter automatic. Now, which one should you pick? Well, it's pretty simple. If The Creta is going to be used primarily to take you to office, come back, maybe drop the kids to school, run errands around the city, and do occasional highway trips. I will recommend the non-turbo, the 1.5 NA, that too with the CVT. Now this combination is something that we've experienced in the Verna and also in the pre-facelift Seltos for me, and I can vouch for its refinement, its efficiency, and its easy to drive nature. That is an engine that you should consider, especially if you like driving in a laid back, in a chill, relaxed manner. But if you say, oh, I'm young, I want some performance, the 1.5 turbo is the way to go. Now granted, it's not the most exhilarating thing out there, but it is plenty quick. The difference you will notice in the turbo compared to the non-turbo is that highway overtakes are going to become a lot easier. So if you foresee yourself doing a lot of intercity driving where you want to drive in a spirited manner, you enjoy driving, the turbo engine and the DCT is something you should pick. But keep in mind, this combination isn't particularly fuel efficient. So if your city usage is going to be very high, that is something you should definitely keep in mind. And that brings me to the dark horse of the Creta's engine lineup, which is the 1.5 liter diesel. Now this engine is genuinely surprising on two counts. Number one, refinement. You'd be hard pressed to tell there's a diesel engine under the bonnet unless you really rev it out. Second, ease of use. In fact, even if you buy the diesel manual, the clutch is quite light, it bites in early, modulation is easy, it won't really tire you out. Of course, the automatic will bring in an extra layer of convenience. I'd say the diesel engine is something that you should strongly consider if you foresee doing a lot of highway driving where mileage becomes very important. Overall, mostly city trips, maybe some highway driving, pick the NA petrol. You want some fun, pick the turbo petrol, and if you want a good balance, if you want fuel efficiency, the diesel is the engine to buy. Now let's focus on the way the Creta drives and rides. And if I had to sum up the entire experience, I'd use two words: A, comfortable, and B, predictable. Comfortable because the Creta isn't really fazed by broken surfaces at all. I mean, sure, you've got ample ground clearance to kind of go mild off-roading. It's still a front wheel drive SUV, but you have the confidence because of the ground clearance. And even when you do, you notice that there's not too much body movement going on, so the occupants are not tossed around and they won't really feel uncomfortable at any point in time. Over really bad surfaces, you will notice a little bit of side to side movement. So you've got two options: either slow really down or go really fast. And speaking of going fast, if you take the Creta out on the highway, no nasty surprises there. At highway speeds 100, 120, what have you, the car feels planted and confident. If I had to nitpick, the brakes took a little bit of getting used to for me. Once I got used to the feel, I was a little more confident in the way they responded. Alright, now we've got to talk safety, because this has been an area of concern with Hyundai cars, barring the Verna, of course. Now Hyundai claims for this Creta, they have made structural changes. In fact, even the composition of materials used has changed. So there's a lot of advanced high strength steel in critical areas like the front, the A pillar and the B pillar. Overall, in terms of safety, I will stick my neck out for the Creta only when I see a crash test result. But till then, it is reassuring to know that Hyundai is offering 6 airbags as standard. Their rear disc brakes are standard now. You've got ABS with EBD, traction control, hill assist, a range of safety features at your disposal right from the base variant. Also, the cherry on this safety cake is level 2 ADAS. This uses a front pointing camera and radars both at the front and the rear. So this system in generally functions a lot better than pure camera based systems. You've got a host of features here. You've got forward collision warning, there's lane keep assist, lane centering assist, you've got adaptive cruise control, and you've got a blind spot monitoring system as well, all of which function as intended. Now this is something that we noticed in the Verna as well, where the calibration of the ADAS system was done very well. I can say the same for the Creta. But please remember, ADAS is not a substitute for you actually having complete control over the car. It's simply meant to assist you. Alright, let's sum this video up. Now, like I said at the start of the video, the reasons to consider or reject the Creta pretty much remain the same. The only difference now is that the reasons to consider have become a lot more stronger than before. Now, I'm sure you'd agree with me when I say that the pre-facelift Creta wasn't exceptional in a single department. It did a lot of critical things just right, or maybe a little better than what's enough. With this upgrade, all of those strengths have been simply carried forward, whether it is the space, practicality, or the features list. In fact, the reasons to consider have gotten stronger because the features list is a lot lengthier and you've got more safety tech on offer as well. Finally, with the updated exterior design and this more upmarket premium interior, the Creta is definitely asking for more attention than before. So that was the long and short of the Hyundai Creta 2024. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. If you agree with my observations, let me know. If you don't, you can argue with me in the comments. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, like, share, subscribe, all of that. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.